Teaching Standard 2B has been met as part of a theory lesson with BTEC Sport. The first lesson as part of their psychological skills training program. This just shows the first PowerPoint that I did with them. We went over just the outline of the program, what they were going to have to do to include in their program, and then we completed their initial assessment, which was the questionnaires, and then some got on to analysing their results. For then my observation lesson, I wanted to recap what we had learned the week before. I only see them every 2 weeks, so just recap the last lesson they had with me. So that was the first question I posed to them at the start, because we'd obviously talked a little bit about psychological skills and what they were. So this sort of got students thinking about what they could remember that we had done the previous week. We then recapped again what we had done, but sort of looking more at the specifics. So exactly what is the difference between a merit and distinction, just to clear that up. Students were able to discuss and debate what they thought that was, and then we cleared it up what was going to get you then the distinction. So then we recapped all of this, went through it, so students were clear on what they had to do. This then just shows my lesson plan for the lesson. So students were to know what was their criteria for their psychological skills program, apply the initial assessment, so they had their own to-do list for the lesson. Students were then working on this, so it just shows the lesson where I said recap all of the content. Then students were to reflect on the feedback that I had given them. So this just shows the feedback that I give one student. So in red is just my feedback. I'm giving them instructions on what to do at that point in the lesson to go and reflect on my feedback and then respond to it. So then the green shows how he has responded. So he has decided on 3 arousal controls that he was going to use for his program, and then he sort of weighed up the pros and cons. So PMR takes time. He thinks imagery is quite difficult, but he thinks it increases self-confidence. So he sort of went through each of the ones that he thinks that he's going to suit him for his program, and then obviously weighed up the pros and cons, which obviously has helped from the PowerPoint that I did before, so he knew exactly what he had to do. This also then helps students be aware of the progress that they'd made in the last lesson. So these 3 ticks show that this student what he got through in the last lesson, and then obviously I'm very clear on where exactly he has to start for our lesson that we had. So I think this shows how I have been aware of students' prior capabilities and knowledge, and then this has obviously helped me plan the next lesson I have with them and help me structure it a little bit better. So students knew exactly what they had done, what they had to do, where they had to start, and then this just shows that they had set targets then for the next lesson. These ticks show the progress that they had made. So once they had done this, they could move on then to reviews, to go onto the computer then and have a look at whether the arousal controls that they've decided are going to suit them for their program. This feedback just shows how I have done that, and then the impact of that on the lesson. So how I have been aware of their prior knowledge and made lessons. Planned a lesson to suit that. I think the high quality marking that I had done definitely had a positive impact on the lesson, because students were independent and their questions were then focused specifically to them and what they had to do in that lesson to progress. So I definitely think that I've shown a good awareness of students' prior knowledge and planned a good lesson based on this knowledge that I had, and students showed clear progress.